Everyone, we're here at the simulator for what the planetarium uses to show you the night sky. Right now we're currently over the Earth at current time, and what I can do is I can go to the surface. So what we're going to do is land right here in PT and have a look around, and you can see that it is still daytime. So looking around over towards the west here, we can see that we've got the sun still up in the sky for a few more hours. We've got some planets up, but you can't see them yet because it's still too bright out with the sun. And what we can do in the planetarium is advance time. So instead of just doing our normal rate, we can let the sun go down very quickly. And we know that the sun always sets in the west. When the sun goes down, if we look towards the east, that's where everything is rising, where the moon, some planets might be coming up. And a lot of the things at our latitude are going to be seen in the southern sky. So you want to know where west is so you can find south, north, east, and identify some of these things that I'm going to show you. But you can see as the sun goes down, you get a nice twilight here, and the stars are beginning to appear, and you can see stars rising up over here in the east. Now I'm going to set us to about 9 o'clock to give us a good night view. So what I'm doing now is I'm staring directly south on a January night around here in Penn Trafford, and you can see there's a very bright star just up over the horizon. And one of the most famous things is these three stars are the famous stars in Orion the Hunter. So what happened in ancient times is that people didn't have anything to entertain themselves like YouTube videos, so they had to make up stories about what they saw in the night sky. And so they looked up at these dots and they made connections. And different connections, different shapes showed up at different times of the year, which told them when to start harvesting, when to plant food, when the seasons were going to change. And if they knew that, they could survive. So one of the things that everyone could find in all cultures here is the famous hunter, Orion the Hunter. Easiest way to find Orion the Hunter is these three stars right here. They make up Orion's belt, and Orion is more of a stick figure shape here. So if you take the belt to be his midsection, you've got a leg that goes down this way, you've got a leg that goes down this way to a very bright star, you've got an arm that goes up this way, and another arm that goes that way. That arm ends on this reddish star up here in the top left of Orion. So those 7 stars really make up Orion. Those are the brightest ones you can see, and everything I show you here will be at least 3 times bigger in the real night sky, because this software is set to play on our projector that's only a 30-foot dome. So you can see with Orion the Hunter here, there's a lot more stars that make up Orion. There's stars that go up beyond that reddish star in the corner. There's an arm out front with looks like a shield possibly, and we've got a sword holder down right below his belt. Those are all the things that make up the constellation Orion, and this red grid that I just put up there is the boundary for the constellation Orion, meaning any star in this reddish boundary here is a star that belongs to this constellation. Why do astronomers do this? They break up the sky into 88 different shapes so that we can figure out where we are when we're looking in the night sky. So if someone says, oh, I just saw a comet and it was in the constellation of Lepus, you know where you're looking. Not only do I want you to know the shape of Orion the Hunter, I also want you to be able to identify some of the bright stars, because some of the things we talk about in class will revolve and deal with those bright stars. So like I said, there's a bright one up here in Orion's armpit, and if I click on it, it gives us some information. This star is a reddish star known as Betelgeuse, and if you translate Betelgeuse from Arabic back into English, you get armpit. And if you look, it's right in Orion's armpit. Down here in the right corner is a bright bluish star known as Rigel. Translating from Arabic into English, Rigel means knee. So they're appropriate names for the appropriate places in Orion the Hunter. Another thing I'd like you to know is that just below the belt we have a Messier object, a fuzzy dot if you look in the night sky. And that fuzzy dot is an object that Charles Messier was looking at, and he was actually hunting for comets. But when he looked at it and it didn't change night after night, he actually made a catalog of all these fuzzy dots that he thought were really not important. But now astronomers, that's one of our favorite lists to go to look at things in the night sky. Messier objects, this M42 right in Orion's sheath or his sword holder is known as the Orion Nebula. and it is a place of star birth. If you had a really powerful telescope, you could actually collect the light coming from M42, and it would look something like this. So there are 5 things I want you to know about Orion the Hunter. Know his shape, know the belt, know Betelgeuse, Rigel, and M42. Now Orion's my guide for the winter sky. When I look at things in the winter sky, I use Orion to find everything. And like I said, he's one of the easiest things to look at. If we go a little more towards the horizon and a little towards the east, take the belt of Orion and head straight down to this right here. This bright star is seriously the brightest star in our night sky. Its name is Sirius. So Sirius is the brightest star in the Dog constellation, the dog that goes with Orion on his hunts. And the name of that is Canis Major. So I'm going to trace Canis Major for you so you can see where the big dog is. The big dog's nose is right here, and then there's 2 stars that make up the head with the nose. So there's the head of the dog, here's a leg, here's the body of the dog, a leg, and another tail. And that makes Canis Major the big dog. So you can see, like I traced before, head, legs, body, leg, tail. And you might say, well, I thought the North Star was the brightest star in the night sky, and it actually is not. It has this different reason that it's so special, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get into the northern sky. The reason Sirius is so bright is it says that Sirius is only 8.58 light years away. It's one of the closest stars to us. Not the closest, but since it's such a close star, it appears really bright in the night sky. Now, Orion actually has 2 dogs that go with him on his hunts. We've got Canis Major down here, but this other dog is Canis Minor. So I'll put on the names, and you can see Canis Minor is a little more towards the east. But to find Canis Minor in the night sky, I need you to take Sirius and Betelgeuse, draw a straight line between those 2, and then head towards the east, and you'll run right into this bright star known as Procyon. Canis Minor is the little dog, and it's right here. It's just this line. It's just a stick, and everyone cannot believe that that's all there is to Canis Minor. A very tiny dog. He's got the big German Shepherd, and he's got a little Shih Tzu up there in the night sky. Know how to find Canis Major, Canis Minor. Know the stars in each of those, the bright ones, Sirius and Canis Major. In Canis Minor, you're looking for Procyon. And one thing that Betelgeuse, Sirius, and Procyon make up is a triangle. It's a nice big winter triangle, and we can find that shape very, very easily on nice clear nights. Now, Orion is a hunter, and so what he's hunting is actually an animal that people hunt for sport in Spain. And that animal ends up being Taurus, Taurus the bull. The way to find Taurus is go back to the belt of Orion the hunter. If you draw a straight line out of the belt, not heading towards Sirius, but heading the other way, you end up with this V shape right here. This Pleiades cluster is actually the head of the bull that Taurus is fighting. And the brightest star there is Aldebaran. So Aldebaran is the bull's eye in Taurus, and if you go up this way, there's one horn, and if you go over here, there's another horn. So a horn, a face, and another horn makes up Taurus the bull. And again, there's more to Taurus. He's got maybe legs over here, but they're very faint, and I never actually see them in the night sky. So for Taurus, we need the bright star of Aldebaran and the shape of Taurus. Now, one other important cluster that we can actually see out there besides the V shape of Taurus, if you continue on that path through Orion's belt, through Taurus, you actually run into this grape shape. And this little shape here is known as the Pleiades. It's a group of about 6 or 7 little stars that were all born about the same time, and they're still gravitationally bound to each other. So the Pleiades looks like it's a tiny little sack of grapes up there in the night sky, but if you zoom in on it, you can see this actual cluster. And if you look, that symbol looks very, very familiar. Especially if you translate Pleiades into Japanese, you get the word Subaru. So the Subaru car symbol is this little star cluster in the night sky. Make sure you know M45, the Pleiades cluster. Now going back to Taurus real quick, at the end of this V shape here, you're going to see this pentagon shape. It goes up, over here, over to that star, and back. Kind of looks like home plate. And the bright star in that is known as Capella. The 5 stars that make up that pentagon shape there goes by the name of Auriga. Auriga the Charioteer, with Capella being the brightest star in that shape. And you can see that Auriga actually kind of piggybacks right off of Taurus's one horn. So if you can find Taurus, you can easily find Auriga and Capella. And Capella right now is actually directly over our heads, which we know is known as zenith. So in the wintertime sky from Penn Trafford, if you look straight up over your head towards zenith, you'll see a bright star, and that's Capella in the constellation Auriga. Make sure you know that. Since Taurus was a familiar symbol because some people have birthdays and they're called Tauruses, well, there's 13 birthday constellations up there in the night sky. That means that the sun, the moon, the planets all travel through these constellations, but they go through some specific constellations like Taurus and other zodiac constellations. So when the sun is in the box of Taurus here, this reddish box we talked about, that means that if you were born between those days, you are now a Taurus. If you're born after those days, you're one of the next zodiac signs. And this bluish line here that shows the paths of the planets is known as the ecliptic. It is the line where the moon, the sun, and the planets all travel along. If you think of the solar system as a flat disk, you can see that all the planets and the sun travel along this path every single year. So again, using Orion as my guide, take the knee star, Rigel, take the red star, Betelgeuse, up in the armpit, and draw a straight line through them. And as you continue on that straight line, you're going to run into these 2 bright stars here. These 2 bright stars are the heads of the twins, Pollux and Castor. P for Pollux and C for Castor. These are still very high in the sky, close to Auriga, but not exactly at zenith. I'm going to draw out Gemini here. Gemini, this is the head of one twin. Here's the body and an arm, leg, and 2 legs. Here the twins are hugging. There's an arm of the other twin. Here's the body and the other leg of the other twin. Gemini, the twins, are 2 twins that are basically crossing arms together, and you can see the heads of the twins are right here, Pollux and Castor. Make sure you know the names of both of those. And the last thing I'd like you to know in the winter sky is very, very close to Gemini, and it's very, very faint. You may not even see it right now in this video, but right next to Pollux and Castor is this Y shape right here. This Y shape makes up the constellation of Cancer the Crab. Now there aren't any bright stars in Cancer the Crab. It's actually so faint it's hard to see on a normal night sky. But one of the nice things that Cancer the Crab has in it is a fuzzy dot right here, M44, the Beehive Cluster. It's a cluster of about 100 stars here that when you look at it through a telescope looks like a hive of buzzing bees. So in Cancer the Crab, all I need you to know in that shape is the Beehive Cluster, kind of in the heart of Cancer. And that is what I want you to know for the winter sky. Know Orion, Canis Major, Canis Minor, Taurus, Auriga, Gemini, and Cancer. Those are the 7 shapes I'd like you to know. But know the star lists that are in those. Know the stars, know the nebulas that are in each of those, and we'll quiz you in the planetarium. See you next time.